All right, let's go ahead and get into it, everybody. 4 Saturdays till the start of the college football season. It's got me thinking about the 5 power conferences. The last time we seen this much change in the Power 5 conferences was about 10 years ago. I don't know if it's going to happen every 10 years that we see a cycle like this, but it feels like the blip. 10 years ago, you had Colorado and Utah come to the Pac-12. You had TCU and another school I'm forgetting coming to the Big 12. The Big 10 added Maryland, Rutgers, Nebraska. The ACC added Syracuse. And another team I'm forgetting. The SEC added Texas A&M and Missouri. And there's been some stability, but it seems like everything's in flux. It's the last year for USC and UCLA in the Pac-12. Sounds crazy. The last year for Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12. They're going to the SEC. So a lot of changes. Just got announced that Colorado is going back to the Big 12. So the question is there going to be a Power 5 conference? Can the Pac-12 survive? Can the ACC survive? None of their schools have been poached yet, but Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, these are all schools. If I'm a team like, I'm a conference like the SEC, they look good to me. I would want them to come to us. They could expand our print. They could make our basketball conference better, especially the SEC that's gotten better in basketball the past couple of years. Adding to North Carolina, that would knock it out the park. So can these conferences last? That's the interesting thing to me. Now, something that's underrated that I don't think most people who are talking about the demise of the Pac-12 in particular are thinking about is that now that the playoffs is expanding to 12 teams, every Power 5 team gets an automatic bid. So if you're a team like Oregon, right, where you have a backer like Phil Knight, and he's going to take care of financial problems that you might have, and you guys are taking care of NIL deals. There's nothing that you can't do when Phil Knight is backing you. Why do we need to leave the conference? Why not just get an automatic bid every year into the playoffs? Washington might need the money, but they might look at it in a situation like, hey, if the Pac-12 can figure out the situation financially, if they can add a San Diego State, maybe add a Fresno State to, give us some of the California market share back, why don't we just stay and our main competition is Oregon? We have to beat one team every year to get in. So you might start thinking about this long term and as a long game and say, hey, maybe we can get more money up front, but do we make up the money on the back end by making the playoffs every year or every other year? Because in these super conferences, it's going to be hard. Even with 12 teams, it's going to be hard to make it. You see Alabama now with the change of NIL, they haven't made it last year, and I don't know if they're going to make it this year. So things are changing in college football. So maybe it's time to be strategic and not just think of this as a zero-sum game like, hey, who can give us a bigger check annually? What's the better path for us to make the college football playoffs, build the prestige of our brand, get all the extra money that you make for making the college football playoffs, and we can supplement our income like that. So it's interesting times. We'll definitely see what happens. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment, subscribe, and as always, the game is a game.